You know, everyone assumes a decade just sort of clicks over on January 1st of the 0 year.
Right, like a switch just flips.
But if you actually look at the cultural timeline, the 1970s didn't really end until the summer of 1980.
It's the moment the 70s hangover finally cleared and the 80s identity actually woke up.
And we've got a stack of materials here that pinpoints June 1980 as the exact moment the world tipped over.
And we aren't just looking at a list of, cool stuff that happened. We're talking about a fundamental rewiring of how we consume, well, everything.
Okay, so let's get into the evidence. The box office in June 1980 was just getting absolutely crushed. Crushed by The Empire Strikes Back.
Crush is definitely the right word. But it's not just about the ticket sales, is it? It solidified the sequel as a business model.
Right. Before this, sequels were usually just
cheap cash grabs, exactly. Empire proved a franchise could be this massive recurring cultural event.
And an expensive one. Tickets jumped to $2.50.
Which is hilarious to us now, but that was a real sticker shock back then. It was a signal that movies were becoming premium events.
And the currency wasn't just money, it was knowledge. You had to know the twist.
You had to. No, I am your father.
Exactly. If you hadn't seen it that month, you were completely excluded from the conversation.
And then you contrast that high-adventure space opera with The Shining, which also dropped in June.
Total opposites.
You have the ultimate spectacle on one side, and this intimate psychological breakdown with Jack Nicholson on the other.
It feels like those two movies kind of set the guardrails for the next 10 years, didn't they? Big effects and intense thrillers.
But speaking of psychological torture,
we have to talk about Dallas.
Who Shot J.R?
The season finale was actually in March, but by June, the hysteria was just peaking because the reruns were on.
And this is the anti-Netflix model. Today, a cliffhanger.
Well, you might get the answer in seconds if the next season is out.
Or you just move on. Right. But in 1980, that 3-month wait created this pressure cooker. It forced a shared reality.
Why do people look back on that fondly? It sounds miserable.
Because you couldn't binge it in isolation. You had to talk to your coworkers, your neighbors. The water cooler moment existed because of the wait.
Okay, but that shared reality was about to get a major shakeup. Let's look at the NBA Finals. The Lakers win.
But look at how they won. Kareem gets hurt, so Magic Johnson, a rookie, starts at center in Game 6 and drops 42 points.
It's an incredible stat line, but is it a cultural shift?
Absolutely. It's the birth of the superstar individual. Before this, basketball was all about team systems.
And Magic with the smile, the no-look passes.
He proved that one personality could be bigger than the franchise. The Me generation found its sports icon.
And right on cue, technology arrives to help us shut everyone else out completely.
The Sony Walkman TPS L2.
The blue and silver brick.
I mean, this is arguably the most important artifact in this whole stack. You have to understand, before June 1980, music was furniture.
Right, it was a wooden box in your living room.
Yeah.
Or a boombox, very public.
Very public, very loud, very shared. The Walkman turned music into an accessory.
It made it part of your outfit, part of your body.
But psychologically, it allowed you to curate your own reality. You could walk through a crowded city, but be in your own private sound bubble.
It's the great-grandfather of the smartphone zombie. We started ignoring the world right then.
And while we were zoning out with our headphones, we started looping into something else.
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man landed in the U.S. in June of '80.
I always forget how old that game is.
It's the transition of gaming from, like, a niche hobby to a mainstream obsession. But think about the loop itself.
What do you mean?
Empire has an ending. Dallas gets a resolution, eventually. Pac-Man has no end. You play until you die, then you put in another quarter.
Huh. It's the first doom scroll.
It is. It introduced the concept of the infinite loop of content consumption.
So if you stack it all up, June 1980 gives us the Blockbuster franchise, the serialized cliffhanger, the Superstar brand,
the personal tech bubble, and the addictive infinite loop.
It's the entire operating system of modern life.
We think we're so advanced, with our streaming and smartphones, but really, we're just running high-resolution versions of the habits we learned in that 1 month.
So the question is, have we actually evolved past June 1980, or are we just trapped in a 45-year-old sequel?
I think we all know the answer to that.
Thanks for listening to this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.